All right, guys, this is a real quick video here. I just wanted to show you. I had pointed out in one video that this one really didn't come out very well because I put the blocks right out to the edge, which is good for locking this off. But I tried cutting a cap off and just using the tops of these caps, um, and it did come out okay. They are stiff enough, but you can see, guys, this bow has had a problem. It had a delamination after it was epoxied. I'm not actually sure. I tend to just set them up and build them and test them at length. And sometimes they do have a separation. So this one's going to actually have to be removed anyway. But before I did, I thought I would set up a knock on it and shoot it, partly because I wanted to see if it was any good. This is my worst bow. It has two major things that are flaws, and we'll see how it shoots. Because in the end, it's kind of a DIY channel, right? And the goal was to see if we could get you into a decent bow, DIY and cheap. And well, if it's flawlessly perfect, that's lovely. But most people's build is not likely to be flawlessly perfect. So I thought, I've already showed you guys my best bows, but I haven't showed you my worst one. This one is literally my worst one. It has two major flaws, as I pointed out there, and then another one right here where it's actually delaminating and coming apart. This will have to be replaced. This is literally my worst bow. In fact, it's the only one that I was really disappointed with, but I put my knock on it. I have it set up correctly. I have my tiller set just a touch to the right, as I pointed out, so that from my perspective, when I'm holding the bow, this string actually lines up right here, as close to here as I can get it, without having it offset much. I didn't offset this very much at all, guys. It's a very small amount of offset, all right? Very small. So I'm going to do some quick shooting. We'll see if we can make the cap of that disappear, or at least take a little pain. So one thing to point out, I do not set up my knock so that I sit here. The paracord's actually plenty stiff enough for it to click in and be solid and tough. So I actually just set it in so that I can click it on and then set it down and it's level with my rest. And I find it helps you to stay much more locked in, guys. It's way better. And look at that. No trouble at all hitting that. And that lid is a 1/4 inch target. So it's a 1/4 inch tall, but it also has some width, right? And if we look at the width of it, it's about 1 inch wide. I have measured it in other videos, guys, but you can certainly take that measurement if you like. I'm not going to bother right now. I'm just going to fire a few shots now that I've put the knock on it. And as I've always said, you know, if you can't repeat the shot, it's not really very accurate. And obviously that's not a problem here. I can repeat that shot. And this is my worst bow, guys. You know, all I did was slap a knock on it. Well, there you go. That's 3 times in a row, guys. And I don't know if you noticed, but that's pretty good. I mean, I'm only standing 18 feet away. It's only 18 feet, guys. It's only, you know, but this is my last one. You know, I tend to bust these up pretty good. And this time, I'm focusing more on the lid. And the lid is what's taken the abuse this time because I didn't want to beat up the bottle as much. But now this is all shattered and busted through and, you know, it's taken some abuse already. And the poor little thing is brand new. Wow, poor little baby. But, you know, if you want to shoot consistency, you want to see a group size, you got to keep shooting, right? And I don't know about you, but I know my accuracy and I know my group sizes, and my groups are pretty small. I'll put my groups against anybody else on the internet who's making their own bow from scratch. Challenge up, bitches. I want to see how good a boyer you are, and I want to see how good a shooter you are. Put your best accuracy up. Let's see it. Because I can shoot this target all day, guys. And just keep hitting it perfect every time. Because my form is perfect. I don't miss. And when my bow is dialed in right, and I got a good knock that's perfect, and I got a good shelf that's perfect, and I got a bow that's good pounded, I don't fucking miss. I just don't. I've said it before. I don't miss. Well, I prove it to you in my series. I don't lie, guys. There's a lot of people who will think I bullshit because I'll say things like, well, this is a 30-pound bow. And then I'll say that I was using kilograms to weigh it. Well, the reason is I've built these bows everywhere between 35 pounds and 35 kilograms draw weight. It all depends on what you want. I cut this short enough and it's easy, and put a long enough riser on it, and it's easy to get a 35 kilogram bow out of this material. But I use the full length rod, give it a shallow brace height and a very short riser, and it'll be a 35, 40-pound bow. So there's that. None of the things I say are actually incorrect. They're all technically true, because every bow has a range that I could get out of it based on the material that it is. So each time I'm aiming for a very particular part of the bottle. I'm not actually aiming for the dead center of it. I could, but then it's a less of a challenge technically, because I want to see exactly how accurate this is. And for my worst bow to shoot it, you would never know it. So I'm just going to shoot. And I've told you guys before, I like to shoot until I miss. What I didn't tell you is that when I was young, and I was doing competition shooting, that would entail an hour session where I did nothing but shoot and bore out the center of the target. And they would have to replace my target long before I was finished. In fact, the Arrow camp specifically told me that I was costing them many thousands of dollars in targets, but it was fine because everybody liked to watch me shoot. Poor guys. I felt horrible for them because they actually did exactly that. They just sat there and watched me shoot and were very supportive and very sweet, even though I was costing them huge money because I don't miss. And so my targets get hollowed out very, very quickly, guys. And you can look from the video and see roughly where that arrow is impacting. And you'll see that there is a little variation. You know, it's not absolutely flawlessly perfect. But for my worst bow, to know that this is the quality of flight that you could expect if you followed my video series, and that you could achieve that level of accuracy. In fact, right there, I aimed just barely at the edge of the target, and it hit the target precisely, exactly where I aimed, which, I mean, you can't fault that. You can't say that's not excellent accuracy. I mean, in fact, it's more than excellent. It's perfect. Because if you theoretically don't miss, like ever, then theoretically, you have perfect accuracy if you hit what you aim for. But that implies a bunch of stuff. To do this, I have my own fletchings. I haven't modified the knock. I have modified the tip to an old school flat style broadhead, which is what I would have called it. But, you know, my tiller is set up just right for me. It's no joke. It's perfect for me. It's just a little off to the right so that from my perspective, my knock sits right here and my arrow sits so comfortably on that knock that I can just draw it to one finger, push it in and drop it down, and now I'm locked solid. And now all I do is draw back, okay? And it's set up to be accurate as I bow it. So it's not just level here, but it's level here, right at the edge of its draw capability. Now this is only about a 40-pound bow, guys, 38 pounds. At 28 inches. But I don't know if you noticed, I haven't actually missed yet. And this ends up being the problem. This could, if I literally tried my hardest to hit the exact target I'm aiming for every time, this could be an hour video where I just don't miss. And I'm using $30 Barnett 28-inch arrows, guys. I can't complain with them. They've been great, especially given that I'm overpowering them sometimes, and they put up with a lot of abuse thanks to me. Barnett, thank you guys for cheap arrows that are $10 a pop that are actually decent. And, you know, a bow where it's literally costing me between the two of these, it's $50 and less. Well, even including the epoxy. And to have an archery setup that I can be that accurate with, guys, but I'm hitting a 1/4 inch high target that's 1 inch wide, and I'm smoking that target consistent anytime I want. It hits. I don't have to try again. I hit it every time. Period. I don't have to warm up. I hear so many of you guys talking about how you need to warm up and your first dozen arrows shouldn't count. You're a joke. No offense. You don't understand true accuracy. You don't understand all the things involved, or you wouldn't need to adjust. You need to adjust every time because things aren't right. If things were right every time and your stance was perfect and your alignment was perfect and every bit of your draw was smooth and perfect, and that says something. Your draw should be smooth. Smooth, smooth, smooth. And the smoother it is, the more precise it is, the better. And the longer you try and hold a bow under draw, the harder it'll be for you to hit that target, guys. So when I look at an arrow like this, it's lined up with my string. It's not cocked off to one side or the other because I have my tiller wrong. If I just set it to the nock and then look very carefully down the arrow, I see that my string is perfectly, precisely in line with that nock when it's held perfectly. That's where I shoot from, right there. And you'll notice it's coming frayed at her. That's because when I tie off the end, I leave a little and then I wax the whole string. Well, I didn't wax it yet. I wanted to shoot it and make sure it didn't have to move. But as you can see, I knew what I was doing. I just tied it and then shot a video right now of me shooting it. And this is how accurate it is. That's how true what I'm telling you is. That if you follow the simple rules that I lay out, you too will have perfect accuracy. You could follow these rules with a factory bow. You could follow these rules with anything. But when I noticed my arrows were being affected in flight by their fletchings hitting the shelf, I modified them. I also made a better shelf. And between the two, that problem disappeared completely. And now it shoots perfectly accurately with no deviation. And at 30 feet, I can still zero a 2-inch target with no trouble. In fact, at 40 feet, I can zero a 2-inch target with no trouble. And that's hunting range and hitting a deer in the heart. And that is what I promised you at the beginning of this, that you could be good enough to do that with a bow that you make at home, cheap, easy. This is hand tied. It's nothing fancy. I didn't do it with a machine. I just took some basic cheap dollar store thread and wrapped it. Wrapped it tight, 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 and kept wrapping and wrapping and wrapping and wrapping and wrapping until I had such a thick ball there that it wouldn't fit into my nock anymore. And then I kept going until it was rock solid. And now I can just lock onto it with my nock on my string, lock in like this, and fire. The 2 orange ones go to the inside on this arrow, so that's how I shoot it. And this is just how it is. I have another arrow where the black fin is better off being on the inside because of the way it's fletched and lined up with the nock. So you got to look at that kind of stuff too. I mean, to have actual perfect accuracy like that requires you to know all these things and have it set up right. But once you do, it's actually not that hard to do, guys. And if you watch my video series, I will show you every step as I promised from start to finish, from a good form to all that stuff. You'll see me exhibit it a few times. So I'm just going to turn the camera around and turn the light onto me. And I hate to do this with kind of stuff with the shirt off, guys, but I find if I don't, you guys don't get a very good view of my actual physical form. Now, I'm not trying to show you my physique. Believe me, I'm not that proud of it. I've gotten old. You should have seen me when I was in my 20s. There you go. Smoke the target so hard and hit it again right in the top as I planned. And that was brutal. I mean, that was hilarious. The water bottle bounced farther back than the arrow did. That was a really nice transfer of momentum. And that's something else you'll see. When you have it set up correctly, suddenly your impact force goes way up, guys. So you'll notice my foot is against this wall. I always shoot this way, guys. My foot is against the wall as far as it can go. That's the only way I can call it 18 feet. And even though that might have sounded like a miss, I did nick just the edge of it, but I hate to say it, but this light is in my way. And I'm going to have to alter it because it's too much in my vision. I'll keep it on me, but I'll keep it lower and see if that helps, because that was brutal. I couldn't even see the tip of the target. Still technically a hit, though. Ooh, look at that. Just nicked the tip of it. And this is the kind of stuff I like to try and do for practice, is to try and, this way I don't actually hit the target every single time. I'll do that just for fun, just to see what'll happen. To see if I can shoot one on the left, one on the right, and one high. And you guys, if you, even though you didn't realize you'd see me do it, you were seeing me do it. And once again, I nicked it exactly where I wanted, just to the right. Perfect, really. And what's funny about that is, if I hit every time with the amount of energy that this bow is transferring into the arrow, right in the spot that I want, which would be the middle of the lid, right? I'll have destroyed that lid incredibly quickly. But, you know, I don't really mind. It's okay, you might think, but I don't have endless water bottles. Oh, that was such a nice nick. Once again, I just nicked it. Now, when I had it pointed at the water bottle, I was shooting very much in order to demonstrate to you that it was being struck thoroughly. And so, of course, I had to hit it. But now that I'm not doing that and I'm just showing you the form, I only hit it once in a while to prove I'm still hitting the target. And you can hear it, and to let you hear it. But in the end, I really don't want to destroy my arrows. So I'm going to stop this. I'm told too much of my boobies counts as partial nudity, and I don't want to excite you young ladies out there, so I'm going to stop here. Plus, I'm really old. Trust me, I'm not able to make me excited. Anyway, so again, just draw down, hold a little pressure as you draw. And again, another successful hit. Right at the top of it too. I wish I had a camera on that one, because it hit just at the top of the lid where I wanted, and then it flipped off the couch, the water bottle. That was great. And look at that, bent it right over. That was awesome. That was a great spot. The way I hit it was just perfect. And you can see here, the rest of this section is ripped right out. That's actually where I caught the bottle. I caught it right on the edge of that lip, and it just wrecked it. That was great. This poor water bottle is now trashed, and I just started working with it. But 'tis the price of doing a video, and this is what I'm talking about. I mean, you can see how much more damage these same exact arrows are doing to the target on a bow that's really dialed in, even though it's not as strong a bow. It's actually pounds less draw weight, kilograms less draw weight than the last bow you saw me shoot on that target, or the last video I filmed anyway. That being said, this one's done, guys, but you can get perfect accuracy. You just got to do it right. And if you do it right, you'll find that you get really great results. This bow is locked in. Nothing on it moves from shot to shot. The arrow is locked in, except this is loose. It needs to be re-epoxied. But other than that, it's nice and tight, and nothing is moving, which means I can shoot repeatedly and have it maintain its accuracy, guys. And that is really, really important. If you can't get consistent accuracy, it's really not worth all that effort. But given how good these have turned out to be, without much being done to them, really, you know, they're totally worthwhile, guys. This is the best DIY bow I've seen. I can make 20 of them. In fact, I have. They're all over the apartment. But in the end, even the worst of them, which is this one, is bang on accurate, guys. Keep that.